made a comment a few minutes ago, Corey, about getting something to click with this offense, getting something that could be relied upon besides the tight end position. That should not be the calling card of any offense. Here's some numbers I picked up along the way in preparing for this, and I'm mighty proud of myself. I've mentioned this now 3 times that I actually, I took about 5 or 10 minutes and prepared for this show tonight. I came ready.
5 to 10 minutes.
So
Good.
Those 3 shutouts that they suffered last year. This was the first time since 1972 that Iowa was shut out 3 times. That was the worst yardage output by an offense in the Big Ten, not an Iowa offense, a Big Ten offense since 1984. And the -7 turnover margin was the worst since 2006.
Over 3 games.
Pardon me?
Or over 3 games, or what are you talking about?
The overall -7 turnover margin for the entire team for the entire season.
Oh, for the entire season.
Yeah, it was the worst since 06.
And yet they won 10 games.
Yeah.
It's incredible stuff. So, by the way, we should mention it, and I didn't bring it up because they're not here yet. They're going to be summer enrollees. But Xavier Williams is another guy who's coming in at tailback. He packs a punch based on everything I've seen and heard. I really like Brevin Dahl, but he's coming off a broken leg. So my guess is he'll redshirt. But, I mean, would I be shocked if Xavier comes in and plays right away? I didn't expect Kamari Moulton to come in as a freshman. I can tell you that. A guy that got late in the process who looked to be undersized. But what do you know? All those guys at the top got hurt at one point, and all of a sudden, Terrell Washington, Kamari Moulton were playing big snaps at Happy Valley against Penn State. So wouldn't be shocked if Xavier Williams comes in if he's fit. I mean, he's as a senior, he's listed at 6 foot 220. It's pretty thick, Mark. That's pretty thick for a tailback at high school. So we've seen in the past freshman running backs play. There's certain positions you don't expect that at. Certainly offensive line. Typically not tight end, although Addison Estringa proved that wrong to some extent. Certainly quarterback, but we may see some freshman action at tailback if injuries become a problem, which they unfortunately do become a problem. And that'd be the only thing I'd say, Mark. Is there a chance Iowa could hold on to all these guys? Maybe. Maybe, but I just don't know how that works because, unless Jazz and Caleb are like, okay, this is our room once LaShawn graduates. If people forgot, LaShawn is a senior this year, and so he'll be done after, assuming he doesn't get hurt, because I believe let me look, make sure he didn't take a redshirt year. No, he did take a redshirt year. So he redshirted in 2020. So he's done after this year. So maybe, I mean, I know guys want to play, and this is the era of the here and the now, but Jazz Patterson and Caleb Johnson are both young guys. They would at least have a year beside one another as a 1-2 punch where you could say, okay, these are our guys, and maybe you hold on to LaShawn as well. And the freshmen are like, hey, they didn't redshirt, so maybe you can redshirt a Kamari Moulton this year. I mean, that's hard to do with the injuries, but just some thoughts there.
We have about 130.
Let me add 4 games, right? You play the 4 games, you can still hold on to that redshirt year. So, maybe that can be an approach if you're Iowa that, hey, our plan is to redshirt a guy like Kamari or a guy like Terrell, but we're not afraid of playing him. Let me just make sure that one of those guys. Okay, Kamari did technically redshirt and Terrell redshirted, so never mind. Those guys they have 4 years, so they didn't play enough last year to burn the redshirt. That's good news because I wouldn't think they're going to up and leave this spring. I'd be more concerned about one of the 3 guys ahead, and I don't think it's going to be. If I was to guess who will be the guy that leaves, it's going to be either Jazz or Caleb. I don't see LaShawn leaving as a senior because I think Iowa likes him. Did we talk about the depth chart that was released last week, Mark?
No. I remember you making the comment that you didn't see anything significant from it.
There was nothing significant, and that's why we didn't talk about it. But if you want to talk about it, Let me just pull up the depth chart from last week, perhaps. Okay. So at tailback right now, Le'Shawn is 1, Caleb Johnson 2. So there you go. There's no or there. I think Le'Shawn is their guy. And so it's a matter of, can they hang on to one or both of his backups? And if not, maybe you get a young guy who ends up factoring into playing time.
We have about 140 online, about 80 on YouTube, and we are also simulcasting on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. So just want to let you folks know that you can join us on YouTube every Tuesday at 5:30 Eastern, 4:30 where it counts. And that way you can take part in the conversation and you can leave your comments and questions. We appreciate your super chat contributions as well. And as you see the banner on the screen there, Wake Up College Football premieres April 15th at 8. That's not a typo. 8 a.m. Eastern Time. You can join me for a different kind of Voice of College Football show in a couple of weeks.
Mark, this might be a bit of a rhetorical question, but I'll ask you as a nonpartisan person here involved. How much does Caden Proctor's drama hurt this room that we're previewing today? How much does one guy of his status and talent level leaving when he did, although they didn't get into spring ball, he did leave unexpectedly. How much does that hurt this running back room?
If he progresses into being the kind of player that we anticipate him to be, I will also take from a comment that you made last week that one player along the offensive line, certainly you want superstars along the offensive line, but you brought up a great example recently with Tyler Linderbaum. He played on pretty porous offensive lines, and he was the best consensus, best center in college football. And he is starting and did start as a rookie in the NFL for a really good football team. He's that good, and he could only do so much. So when we think left tackle, we think quarterback protection first and foremost. But Caden Proctor wasn't a great player last year. So it's more about potential and what he could be. I think there are a lot of factors involved. It depends on how good the depth would have been behind him. And now is, as we talked about with Tom Kakert last week, who are those guys that are going to be thrust into a position of getting more snaps or starts because of Proctor not being there? So it's substantial.
And I don't want this to, we're going to probably I'm guessing we'll preview the offensive line next week. So I don't want this to turn into an O-line preview, but the guys that are going to be playing more because he's not there are old and experienced. So, I mean, either they step up or not. And I know some guys just it never clicks. But Mason Richmond's likely going to be your left tackle, almost assuredly. You know, health is going to be the question mark there. Logan Jones he's one guy that sounds like he's been dinged up during spring. We know that, but boy, he's a senior, senior tackle or senior interior guy at center. Connor Colby's back. He's a senior now. His career has flown by. Jennings Dunker is a junior. Nick DeYoung is a 6th-year senior. You know, I mean,
that's not a great sign.
Bo Stevens is a junior, Mark. Tyler Ellsbury is going to figure into the interior of the line. He's a senior. They're experienced everywhere. They're old everywhere. Like,
that's not good.
Well, what do you mean it's not good?
It's not good that they haven't. Yes. The likelihood of somebody stepping up and becoming some like all-conference level guard as a senior when he never was anything close to that.
Well, then, if that's the case, if Iowa viewed it the same way as you do, why, with the exception being Caden Proctor, who kind of just fell back into their lap during the offseason briefly, why haven't they been like hitting the portal hard at offensive line?
You know more about the offensive line by eons than I do.
Well,
I just watch the games and give it a little more analysis than that.
Kirk
You
is
know.
Kirk is a big advocate for experience, and I agree with you. There have been examples of bad experience. Okay. Um, I hate to bring up names. I hate to say it. I'm going to say it. Levi and Landon Paulson were like fifth year seniors, and they were horrible in 2019. They were. I mean, it's nothing against them personally. I'm just saying that on the football field, they were not good. Iowa State and Matt Campbell have been eating Iowa's lunch in regards to running back talent.